Welcome to episode 4 of Lord of the Mysteries. As Captain Dunn sees the true creator, the secrets of the notebook are once again pushed to a climax. For the past few days, Klein has been troubled by how to digest the potion, because he doesn't know how to act as a seer. Just when he couldn't figure it out, he happened to receive a flyer from the Divination Club. Could the key to acting be becoming a real-life diviner? Thinking of this, Klein joined the Divination Club, but little did he know from the moment he joined, he had already fallen into the enemy's trap. It turns out a diviner named Vincent had predicted that Klein would definitely come. So following the receptionist's directions, Klein arrived at the classroom where Vincent was teaching and saw the diviner Vincent. Because he didn't detect anything unusual with his spirit vision, Klein didn't pay it much mind. But just as the last girl was leaving, he suddenly felt an intense spirituality. Without a doubt, it was emanating from the box in the girl's hands. However, Klein didn't pay too much attention to it and even had Vincent do a divination for him. Vincent then told him that the divination gave 2 clues. One was gather and the other was family. If Klein wanted to escape his current predicament, he had to seriously think about the meaning of these 2 words. So, after returning home, Klein carefully studied the content of the divination. But before that, the first thing he had to solve was digesting the seer potion. Since the luck-changing ritual pointed to the gray fog space, he decided to have the prayer's content point to himself. He believed that if he could link himself to the gray fog, he might be able to borrow its power. Thinking of this, Klein took action. Soon it was time for the second Tarot Club meeting above the gray fog, and Klein finally had a chance to test his idea. But before the meeting began, he noticed symbols representing the sequence pathways behind everyone, and one appeared behind himself as well. And besides him, no one else could see these symbols. At this point, Miss Justice Audrey raised a question. Since she had already become a Sequence 9 spectator, she was particularly curious about what she needed to pay attention to. After she finished algebra, codenamed the Hanged Man gave an answer. He stated that a spectator is just that, spectator. One must maintain an attitude of absolute observation, calmly and objectively examining everyone, and then grasp their true thoughts from all the subtle clues. In other words, one must be a completely neutral spectator. And besides mastering the potion's power, one must also understand the symbolic meaning of the potion's name. Hearing this, Klein immediately began his own performance.
不是掌握，是消化；不是挖掘，是扮演。佛药的名称不只是象征，还是意象，更是消化的钥匙。
Afterward, Klein told the 2 about his commission. First, to help him collect Rozelle's secret diaries. Second, and the key point of today's meeting, he hoped the 2 would try a ritualistic magic in their spare time. If the prayer was successful, they could ask for leave in advance when it was inconvenient to attend. Klein then recited the prayer incantation. Hearing Klein's 3-part honorific name, the 2 could hardly believe it, because those who could use a 3-part incantation were existences nearly on par with the 7 deities. Could this Mr. Fool of the Grey Fog Space truly be an ancient, secret, and terrifying existence? A few days later, his sister Melissa took Klein to a friend's party. Klein was surprised to find that the 2 girls he met at the club were actually his sister's best friend and another friend. At almost the same time, the sound of the 3-part honorific name reached Klein's ears. He confirmed that the ritualistic magic was truly directed at him. Halfway through the party, the 3 girls suddenly returned to the room. They were preparing to perform a divination ritual, and the tool they were using was the magic mirror they brought back from the club. As the incantation was chanted, Klein downstairs suddenly felt a bizarre power. It turns out this wasn't a magic mirror for divination at all, but a trap set by Vincent. He was not only a member of the Aurora Order, but also a Sequence 9 sacred supplicant. At the same time, Klein also arrived outside the door. He immediately used his spirit vision to confirm the source of the danger. But everything had happened so suddenly that he had no time to call for backup. As the Beyonder power continued to invade, one of the girls' personalities was replaced by Vincent's. Even though Klein took action immediately, Vincent's power was far stronger than he had imagined. Simple tricks would hardly be enough to defeat him. In just an instant, Vincent broke free from his restraints, and his hand had almost merged with the magic mirror. Before Klein could react, he was slammed hard against the wall by Vincent. The hair, drenched in Beyonder power, was constantly drilling into Klein's skin. In just a few short seconds, almost all of Klein's spirituality was drained. The reason the Aurora Order was after Klein forced him to reveal the secret of the Antagonist notebook. Because everyone saw different content in the notebook, they had to figure out what Klein, the only one to survive after reading it, had actually seen. However, just as Klein was about to lose consciousness, the sound of the ritualistic magic suddenly reached his ears. At the same time, the corresponding symbol appeared on his hand. After briefly entering the gray fog space, Klein not only regained his consciousness and strength, but Vincent was also disturbed by the ritualistic magic.
式魔法。
我祈求您，让我拥有一个好梦。
怎么回事？死亡才是羔羊遵从主人意志的方式。克莱莫莱蒂。拉林莫林下令，拉林夏下令，拉林阿里亚卡亚米。祈求你让你忠实的信徒塞琳娜伍德、莉莉亚汉萨勒杜、莉亚米亚萨勒杜。
Under the ritualistic magic praying to the Evernight goddess, Klein thwarted Vincent's plot. Everything ended without any real danger. His sister and her friends were only briefly unconscious. And with that, episode 4 of The Lord of the Mysteries anime concludes.